with men-at-arms and still have a very good boom behind as we jump into game number 3. Mountain Pass between Capoch and Meomaika. On the right side is Capoch opening with an Imperial Officer immediately for the Chinese in blue, and on the left side we do have Meomaika going for the berries as the Abbasids in red.
That automatically means that the Abbasid player is not going to age up fast, just by going berries instantly.
Looks like both players are making a run for the central crossing over here. You want to see where that crossing is at, but you also are going for all the sheep that's in here. And it looks like the start was caught much better by Meomaika. He's got a big herd of sheep following him, 9 to be precise. Only 2 sheep for Capoch. And Meomaika could even find the ones on the north here for a combined 11 sheep. That's probably a better start for him at the beginning.
Yep. Also, take a moment and notice how the relics are positioned. The person who controls the passage gets most of the relics.
Indeed, that is the case. We have one very safe relic on the north for both players. We have one on the side of Meomaika that's rather safe. And there are 2 in the crossing over here, a tiny bit closer to Capoch here. But anyways, there is always just one map crossing here. So you see the mountains all lock down the majority of the map, and there is only one way to cross in the middle. Sometimes you can go on top of these hills, but there is no other crossing except for this one in the middle. So I wonder who's gonna move out first to try and wall it off.
If they try to wall it off. I think both of the players are going to go to TC.
I can see that working, although I feel like if you're Capoch, you can't afford not to wall it. There's just so big of a risk of the Abbasids showing up anytime at your base with Spearmen and Rams or Men-at-Arms Springolds, so you at least need vision on the crossing, but ideally you need to wall it off because you could get a nasty surprise in if you're just booming and you assume that your opponent is booming as well.
And I think the best timing to wall it off is as soon as you start getting the hunts. But because you're gonna get lots of scouts, you're gonna get that early map control if your opponent decides to go for a TC. And that will give you enough time and space in order to get the villager in the middle and start walling it off.
Looks like the House of Wisdom is already completed for Meomaika. He has to be satisfied with this start because the amount of sheep he collected is marvelous. And not only because he's getting a lot of food from it, the bigger thing here is denying the sheep from the Chinese player. We talked about the fact that part of this build here with the Chinese and the supervised mill is that you need a lot of sheep to be efficient with it.
Yep, and he got all the sheep. And he actually got all the sheep from Capoch side.
Looks like we do have the economy wing coming in here for Meomaika as you would expect. Whereas on the other side, probably the Barbican of the Sun still for Capoch, although if he really wants to boom, the Imperial Palace is actually an idea as well.
Yep, and I see no stone yet from either player.
Nope, no stone. As we do have the Barbican of the Sun coming in. It's going to be close to the berries and the stones, so it will be nice to protect this area. As you said, it's a little too risky to move out for the Barbican of the Sun over here. And of course, it is quite a lot of walking time as well, so you would lose some economy efficiency on that. But indeed, there is absolutely no stone coming in for Meomaika, so he might be thinking about something different than a 2TC boom.
Yes, he has 10 villagers on food and 3 on gold and just a few villagers on wood. So I don't see a transition apart from going for a castle age timing. Like, he doesn't have the wood to make productions and he has lots of food and he's gathering with many villagers, so he's gonna have even more food.
Indeed, Meomaika is going pretty heavy on the food department. As he said, he's also pretty heavy on the gold. So, if you want to go for 2 town centers, now you're getting close to pulling your villagers away from the gold, because you just need the gold for a fresh foodstuffs upgrade, and then you start mining stone for that 2nd town center. We're not seeing that, so the fact that he's still mining gold could be a sign that indeed this is actually getting closer and closer to a fast castle build.
The other side, professional scouts for Capoch.
Exactly. He's going up with a stable, but that's a little deceiving because it's not going to be horsemen, it's going to be scouts. He could actually supervise that stable to pop out the scouts a little faster, but the idea here is that he just wants to ferry in the deer. With the supervised mill, the professional scouts also takes way less time to upgrade, so you see that he supervised that mill until like 50-60% of the technology and then switched over to the stable so he can pop out the scouts very fast. A nicely streamlined build here for Capoch, I must say.
Yep. And we have a barrack from Meomaika.
Yep, it is indeed a barracks coming in. He could technically put up some pressure with Spearman and Rams as well, although he still is piling up a decent amount of gold, so it feels more like a preparation to Castle Age and Men-at-Arms push. But there's already Capoch coming in, and I really like this approach with the fast professional scouts using the Imperial Officer to supervise the mill. And now you see he's dropping it off at the mill as well, so he'll be benefiting from the hunt and of course from the fact that the mill is being supervised.
More the game goes, the more I think this is a semi-fast castle build from Meomaika. He's put even more villagers on gold.
Exactly. He's getting some spearmen out, but it's probably because he sees the stable from his opponent, so he knows exactly that, okay, any moment in this game, I could see some horsemen appearing, and his gold mine is kind of exposed, so a couple of spearmen here to defend could actually help a tiny bit.
And I'm really curious about the transition of Capoch. Or is he going to do a semi-fast castle?
It's a possibility. It's also an alternative that he goes for Song Dynasty first, but he's very, very heavy on the gold, so that's why it's a little more likely that we're going to see some sort of fast castle style approach here. Looks like the scouts are moving in. They want to take the hunt from right next to Meomaika's base, and Meomaika is bringing in some spears to try and deny that. That's going to be difficult, but maybe not impossible.
Not many spears in order to stop this. He might lose a scout if he's not careful.
Looks like the scouts actually get away. Very, very nice value there for Capoch because both of those scouts were heavily damaged, but none of them got killed in the action. As you said, Capoch is getting closer and closer to that semi-fast castle over here, and Meomaika will probably have a comparable castle age timing over here. That's actually a very nice start here for Capoch. The thing is that Meomaika is sort of playing a fast castle build himself, or at least something similar, but Capoch will actually beat him to Castle Age simply because the hunt and the Imperial Officer supervising that mill combined allows him to have a great food economy. And there's the astronomical clock tower. So, when it comes to the Chinese, of course they can't make springolds with their own infantry, but they do have the clock tower in exchange that can be supervised, so you can make a lot of springolds that are stronger than the opponent's springolds fast. So they do have a pretty decent chance at defending against the springold aggression from the Abbasids, right?
Yes, it's also short distance. Both of the players are close to each other, so it doesn't really matter if you do the springles one screen away or in front of your opponent, because the clockwork tower, supervised, it makes springles 3 times faster, and they also have more HP, so they're so much better.
Looks like we do have Castle Age already in for Capoch. Meomaika is only halfway up to Castle Age with the Culture Wing. Not looking great for him because you see there's already springolds coming out for Capoch, and now would be the good time for Capoch to start thinking about that Song Dynasty, because he's up to Castle Age, he can start going for Palace Guards, he can go for the Clock Tower springolds, but at some point he wants to take an eco advantage, and he can do that with the Song Dynasty here. Now, the Palace Guards are actually weaker than the Men-at-Arms, but they move faster, so they're very, very good for this early Castle Age aggression, simply because they can get to the opponent's base really fast, and you can pull up the springolds as well. And this might actually be Meomaika being forced to defend and not Capoch.
Yep, and from the timings of the Castle Age timings from Meomaika that I saw, you can actually be in Castle Age at the same time by going for a 2-town sender build.
Yeah, it looked really weird because he does have the berry bonus, of course, but that was his only source of food, whereas on the other side, it's a supervised mill with scouts being scouts ferrying in the hunt. Even though some of the hunt wasn't taken from Meomaika's side, the effect was undeniable here. Capoch had a massive food eco advantage, and that's why he was up to Castle Age a little faster. Now we have the Palace Guards already moving in, and there's just no army here for Meomaika that can stop this.
Yep. And Palace Guard are so good at raiding and putting pressure in general because of their extra speed.
They indeed have great speed, also have quite a lot of pierce armor, so they do resist to tower fire to a certain extent. Springald is out for Meomaika. That's going to be his defense over here, building the Springolds with the Spearman. So Capoch will have to pull back, but Capoch is already bringing in his own Springolds.
Meantime, Capoch is still getting hunts. He's still bringing the hunts home. So he's gonna have food for a long time. On the other hand, Meomaika only has his ship. And not much food left in his base.
Absolutely. Capoch can just keep ferrying in the air, and he hasn't even touched his berry patches, really, so Capoch can delay a transition to farms for a long time, whereas, as you said, Meomaika was cut off from the berries for some time. He will have to start adding farms very soon at this pace, and I love how these Palace Guards are just chilling at the back of Meomaika's base. Even if they're not doing any damage right now, they are forcing Meomaika to try and find them, to pursue, and you see, he's looking for them. And they're hiding in the stealth forest. At some point, he's gonna check out the stealth forest, but this is just distracting our red players so much.
And if Capoch is able to stay hidden there, if a big fight happens, then he can just simply move them inside the wood line, and I'm pretty sure they will kill a lot of villagers.
That's exactly the plan. He's probably trying to deny that gold mine because he was harassing the front gold, and he can combine that very nicely with the harassment on that back gold. There's also scout there for Capoch, which means that he sees exactly when his opponent moves to that gold mine, and he's waiting for that. You see villagers are being pulled to the other gold mine, and Capoch will see that using the scout. That's the value that you're getting for your scout over here, and the moment those villagers arrive, these man-at-arms will pop out. Such a nice use of vision here for Capoch. Oh boy, that's a slaughter. There is 3 villagers going down. By the time Meomaika reacts, there is like 5 villagers going down. And Capoch can just repeat this same process for, like, basically eternity.
And Capoch also has the sprinkle advantage, the number advantage. And he's sniping those sprinkles, his opponent's sprinkles.
And now, here comes Meomaika. He's got the men-at-arms out here, and unless Capoch's Springolds can help out against those men-at-arms, the Palace Guards will die. But at this point, I kind of feel like Capoch did the damage that he needed, and he's no longer forced to take bad engagements here. He can just retreat. So, at the end of the day, looks like Meomaika will be able to secure that gold mine, but against Capoch's 44 villagers, he only has 33, so he lost a massive amount of villagers, 25% of his eco, pretty much.
Yep, and eventually it will pile up, and we will see more and more numbers from Capoch. And I don't see a way for Meomaika to come back into this game.
Meomaika is without gold, so he can't replace the Springolds that he loses. Quite a lot of men-at-arms join the party, but we just need one good volley here from Capoch to clean up the men-at-arms. At this point, if those men-at-arms fall, it's probably game over for Meomaika. Villagers being sent out to pursue those Springolds, but it just feels to be insufficient here for Meomaika. Couple of scouts coming in. Now that Capoch picked up all the hunt, he can just use them to burn down those Springolds. And at this pace, this will just snowball out of control here because Meomaika is losing all his Springolds and Capoch still has 4. And with that, Meomaika taps out. He had an impressive game number 1, and I think that he actually had the toughest civilization matchup in the entire game. In game number 1, he was the one winning that, but then Capoch reverse sweeps this mini best of 3, and we do have a 2-1 scoreline in the end for Capoch, which secures a point for his team, the Americas.
the main difference that I notice in these games is how the players approach the early game. Capoch build orders were way more refined than Meomaika, and we could see that how it escalated.
Looking at the timeline real quick, it's just a massive snowball effect. For a long time, the villager count was pretty even, but then Capoch starts pushing those gold mines, and that's where it starts snowballing out of control. And it was just almost impossible for Meomaika to replenish his spring golds, his men at arms with no gold